So sorry, everyone. There were a couple things I had to deal with last minute before the stream, and so yeah, I got started a little late. Plus, my Switch decided that now would be a good time to reset the entire thing for an update. So, yeah. Anyway, we are moving on. Gonna start recording and set things up over on Discord. Alright. Now. Oh wait, I forgot. We gotta switch over to this. Last time, we began Susato's first trial as a defense attorney, and we're going to be continuing that trial. I don't remember exact details other than the client is like her best friend, and the victim was the perpetrator of the first case in the last Grade A's attorney. I'm going to go through this just as a reminder. Gonna turn this down just a little bit. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. Oh yeah, I'm also not gonna be doing the Susato voice that I normally do for at least not in this stream, because one, it just means that I almost never get to talk as myself except for when I'm not speaking as a character, since most of the talking I do in these streams is just repeating dialogue. But also because she's supposed to be disguised as a guy. So, yeah, my excuse is that the more masculine voice is her way of trying to hide the fact that, you know, whatever. The thought left me. Also, so I can just talk later now. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all! I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before any found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence? That you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! She'll do it. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets! I'm no better, you know. Oh? Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pull the knife blade. I knew that you pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back. There was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh no, no! I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray? Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato! You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. Yeah, the thought bubbles are still going to be in Sasada's voice though. You know, I was so scared. I think I'm giving Susano's voice to Ray. Actually, I didn't even realize that. Whatever. You know, I was so scared. You know, when it happened, I didn't know what was going on. The English woman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right, just Miss Pratt and myself. There was no one else. So I just didn't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. Well, based on the photo right here, you can just kind of pull the walls open. You can apparently just kind of do that somehow, because otherwise, how the hell was this picture taken? I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true. Spoken like a true Megatoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Plus, like, there's no way of knowing for sure. Well, actually, yeah. Hold on. I forgot. Where's the autopsy report? The autopsy report is just gone. Oh, wait, here it is. I'm used to it being in, like, a manila folder. Yeah, this proves that, that the poison was in her. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yes. Without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Why didn't you give it to them then? Chemical reagent? I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. The chemical reagent has been entered into the court record. A special indicator solution for a new poison, under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet. It's his newspaper article. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the English woman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Sasaki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to Professor Megatoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there." It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Sasaki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then Sasaki-san knew about the poison? Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, No, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh? A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Sasaki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah! Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We've just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo. Whatever. Yes! Rita's put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. August 11:30 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Courtroom 1. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Ouchi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During their recess, with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Jessie Albrecht's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by Rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
It's entirely... Okay, let's take a look at this photo again. It's entirely possible that her eyes are just dilated from, like, I don't know, maybe being in the sun or something like that. I don't know. That's my other... if it's not the poison, which it likely is, and something just went wrong and the police analyzed it, that is my other theory. Armed with a reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Okay, so apparently not. A small knife from the scene of the crime that was found in the victim's back. No trace of poison was found on the blade.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Arrgh! Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. I was expecting it to be new witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? pen, maybe? Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Right-hand minimemo. The right-hand minimemo of Show You News. I'm what people like to call a journo.
Giorno. Giorno. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Okay. Journalist. It's simply a contraction. Yeah.
I immediately the voice changes. I'm there where the news breaks, putting pen to paper, catching those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news.
Oh, so
it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, what have we here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourselves, people! Minimum senses a scoop in the offing. What? Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point in a 5-leg format in the morning edition. Huh? Right then. Let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
By the way, my name is Takatsuchi Aochi. That's Takatsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
I'm spitting a lot when I'm talking now. No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness?
Yes?
What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a Giorno if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I?
Sorry, I was taking a swig of my drink.
Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, as I always say. That's what I call my metamemoism.
I can't believe I said that in one take. Metamemoism? Oh yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Sosaki-san.
Yes, right, that was me, Metamemo again.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Show You News offices after our meeting.
But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. I'm sorry.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal, left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung! This country's judiciary is rotten to the core! The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man! There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Yeah, it took me 2 takes for that one. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket? The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them.
How many pencils do you have, sir? And they're all perfectly sharpened, too. Well, whatever.
To get the woman's story, so I could hammer her in the press.
Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph?
Oh yes, I saw it with my own journal eyes! From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trailing camera!
Thank you, Manamamo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. It's most likely this guy. Now, is this one case gonna take 3 segments like last time, or?
The beach hut was made of shoddy old read screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. Things woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the English woman onto the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot.
Read screens, you say?
Right. You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped.
I think the voice I gave him is just Gregson, but a little bit slower.
The hut walls were just screens made out of coarsely woven reeds.
Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
Yeah, it's just Gregson now. It's just evolved to Gregson. And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens?
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimumism in a nutshell.
At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
No! Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the markings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published?
Oh, that's right.
I forgot to do the normal voice. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
Ha! More pathetic excuses!
Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency.
There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest.
I would like to point out the mark on his hand is purple. Now, I'm not a good artist, as you can tell by this right here. But I do like to draw every now and then in my free time. I do enjoy doing it. And I can tell you that that is from, like, brushing away stuff that's been, you know, excess, like shavings, from eraser and pencil shades. Just a bunch of stuff. And that part of your hand specifically can get very dirty from drawing with physical stuff like that. You get what I'm trying to say. But I'd like to point out that it looks to be like purple. At least at this angle it looks to be purple. So something tells me, plus the fact that it's RM, I think that's how we're going to get him on this being his pen. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it general instinct. I'm sorry. Call it general instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person was indeed a young woman. Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people! He's painting the journal as a voyeur! It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope, you've got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman. It's all news. Not even minimumism. It's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Right. I'm sorry. I keep screwing up in so many different ways. Right. So if it's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness. What sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what! When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day. The English woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membani-san entering the hut? Yep, and just as he was and she was raging like my journal spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked. I'm very sorry. The student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's ranting fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, the woman in the dock was mightily angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the English woman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment of when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out. From start to finish.
I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are! It's all here in my memo pad! When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the English woman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The English woman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you describe is a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth! That's what minimalism says. The veto plan has been entered in the court record. By the way, Menomemo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journos have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raisins. 1 second. I'm going to Google Translate.
D'être.
Ditch.
D'être.
Ditch.
D'être.
Ditch.
D'être.
Ditch. Purpose. It translates out to purpose. Just fucking say purpose! All according to Kekin. I probably pronounced that last word wrong, whatever. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not! An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor? I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you? I will grant the defense's request. Menomemo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of Menomemoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. We're gonna get him on this, aren't we? I'm gonna save, actually.
Objection!
There we go. Menomemo-san, until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there! The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more Menomemoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. Well, what are you suggesting from those recriminatory words, Counsel? Menomemo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Ah! This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you... If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Membami. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM? No! Rayton Menomemo. RM. That's horse dung! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of Menomemoism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. Okay, it's blue, but at that precise angle I was talking about earlier, it looked purple. It definitely is blue now. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Menomemo-san, is it not the case that before she died,
You met with Jeziel Bread in that beach hut.
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly! Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be many people with the initials RM, as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell, yes. There is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is.
In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly revealed its owner's identity is right here.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize, Menememo-san.
Goodness me! It's the emblem of the Show You News!
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Menememo-san, how do you respond?
No! Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness!
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, Show You News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview? You never mentioned this before! When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. As we Menememoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news.
However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it. Yes. All right, but on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Sasaki Natsume-san. Sasaki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves. It's not a harmless one, it's big. What? What? Menememoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story.
Then why did you not tell anyone? Why is this not published? Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Sasaki-san, hiding something?
Oh yeah, he's looking nervous.
The witness's secrets. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed by the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why minimalism demands I reveal it now.
I don't believe that to be true. Oh, no, it happened within minutes. It was an instant death. All right. You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
that's, true. Yes.
He did! And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous! Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a conversation!
Yes, I did pose the Withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she can no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Okay, we know he asked a question, but we don't know what that question is. Absolutely, Your Excellency.
The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? Excuse me.
Hold it!
You asked her for an interview, you say?
Well, yes, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year.
About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life?
That's not the way I phrased it. Minimalism calls for straight talking.
Why did you murder Dr. Wilson? Is how I put it to her. Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler.
Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew! That told me. So I waltzed right out of there.
Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran of the paper taught me that. Then, watching secretly from...
Hold it!
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett just turned you away.
Persistence wins the prize! Any metamemoist will tell you that. Let me think you've left, then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness.
And now that you found me, I'll tell you everything you want to know. I've got nothing to hide.
I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help.
Hold it!
And so Saki-san remained behind in the hut?
That's right, yep. Our other friend here was a blubbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twirling, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad. Behind baseball bars! They're coming for me, surely!
That's all I could think. I felt as though I were grasping for air, drowning in the sea of cold sweat. Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply.
As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. I probably pronounced that wrong. Eternal emptiness! Empty eternity! The end is coming for me, surely!
No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please.
And now we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? Ah! Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see.
Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray! I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hasanaga saw his friend on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you?
Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond?
She didn't! She said nothing in response! But...
When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony.
I will! Oh, that actually hurt my voice a little bit.
Oh, sorry. 1 second.
Okay. I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was? He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not refrain, he who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever! However, you indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache! Because I'm Japanese!
Oh dear. Sasaki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised by his xenophobia.
But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all! Did she, Mr. Writer-Man? Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
I didn't mean to skip that. Poor Sasaki-san has been fidgeting constantly in the stand next to Menememo-san. Yes, like a naughty child who's waiting for punishment from his parents. It rather reminds me of you when you were younger.
I was nothing like that. I'm sorry, I was like that?
That's the wrong voice, but whatever. Never mind that now. The question is, how far can we trust this reporter's accounts of events? We must focus our energies on gathering information and establishing facts.
Yes. Okay, I'm going back to that last one because I forgot to press it.
Hold it!
This Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? So Sasaki-san, is that really true?
1 second. No? No, I don't think she was. It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with a student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today, except for the fact that it could have been Metamemo who was behind her. No. So Saki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. You were speaking? Okay, whatever. Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no! Not slightly! In a very different direction to where the student girl was standing! To somewhere in the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all! So, okay. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it! Unclear! I'm very, very unclear!
Objection!
Your Excellency! Your Excellency! Surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt! Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger was wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this woman was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No. No!
The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer, whoops, dash! 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition.
This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claims with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father! We don't even know how the crime was committed yet!
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. May give us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turn. I'm very sorry. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I know how.
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your objection for the time being. Oh? To what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternate theory? Ha! None exists!
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was through, who it was to those... Tried to reveal who it was to around those... Tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading. I'm not dyslexic, by the way. By mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction! Fantasy!
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo...
Yes, Your Excellency.
You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment of the victim being stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
Somewhere around here.
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally saved Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut?
What?
Order! Order! Order!
But the student lawyer Naruhodo Esquire, that makes no sense at all! You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there is no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way.
Oh!
And, in point of fact,
The defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel!
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
Take that!
I'm sorry? That's not correct? Whoa! How is this not correct? No, how is this not correct? This shows a hole! It shows a hole in the fucking... It shows a hole in the hut! How is this not the correct evidence? How? Yes! Oh my god, this is fucking stupid! Yes! And it's right fucking... Okay, looking at this, you can see that there. Okay, fair enough. But this would just as easily prove the point! I have a fucking... almost professional camera here on top of my computer, and that lens is fucking huge. If you could fit one of those through that hole, you can fit a fucking knife through the hole, and I don't know how this doesn't fucking prove that. Court record again. Yeah, fuck off. Because it was only the first state's attorney where you could present two pieces of evidence that would both prove your point.
Take that!
I'm too mad to even recite the dialogue right now.
Okay, I understand how this would work, but I also don't understand how this would not also work. How would this not also work?
Objection! Take that! Objection!
Alright, feeling a little better. At the very least, and not to continue talking through the dialogue.
This is preposterous! This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless! Just look at the photograph again! The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, inside the beach hut I confronted Miss Brett, but she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Ah! Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what had happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Menememo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. Except, not really. I can tell this is not the end. We're not done here. We're not done here. I must say, I've never been more proud.
No! This can't be! The Ouchie clan can't! What of my growth of hope! It wasn't an apparition! I can't accept this! I won't!
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by...
Ha ha ha. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals?
I mean, you could have spoken up at any time and you just didn't. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
So your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter, I mean. Whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, the trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
I'm sorry?
What are you talking about? Brace yourselves, little man! I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed! Because of the dirt you dug up!
What? Enough obscurity! Explain yourself, witness!
What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course! The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett, is that right?
That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed? Huh?
Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
Just how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom in whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
Can we take the top off? If we take off the pen's lid. He came in through here. Oh. So your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid.
Couldn't you have just written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it.
German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate.
Alright, let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be the headline marking red herring. Is that about right? Well... Ugh!
Order! 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 But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it? What?
Oh, drank it, duh!
Have another look at the photograph here, as you can see. A bottle of carbonated water in a glass has been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
So somebody made Miss Brattish drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Actually, no. You kind of established that you have a problem with the country's judicial system. That is partially caused by the fact that she was just allowed to go to the beach, despite the fact that she murdered someone.
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe given that the person who established it was you! Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is.
It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony.
That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency.
You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court that in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim.
I'm a giorno, and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now. That's because that's minimalism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us?
Complete innocence. Excuse me.
Oh yes, I stabbed the English woman, and it's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the reed screen? You can't blame this miserable country of ours? Oh, I'm sorry, you can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the knife of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And what makes you say that? And suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. However, this doesn't implicate Ray. I mean, he said it was her, but that doesn't mean shit.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light.
Justice at last! Why did you open the court record, defense?
This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? 1 second. Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency! Complete innocence. We're gonna have to look for something extra here.
Hold it!
So you do admit that you had murderous intentions toward Miss Brett then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice! Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil! A cold-blooded killer who'd committed murder right here on our empire's soil! But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance! So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice! Put things right for the people! Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions, then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight! So I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay. How did she do it, though? How did she poison her? You just say, oh, she poisoned her. That's how she did it. She poisoned her. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her?
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that'd be putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. I'm sorry. What evidence is there to say that she poisoned her? What evidence? Where's the evidence? What evidence? An unforgivable act, certainty, but not when a murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows? You may even learn something here today. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes? Quite a day for the victim.
Do something that evil, and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning.
That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness.
When I heard that the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago. That's what.
But earlier you were saying something about a poison.
The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Migatoba, no less.
Right, but the English woman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai, however. There is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray! Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
Sorry, I thought I heard something.
But this awful man is making all of this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Who's Susato? Ray, who's Susato? Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, great peeping Tom! Whoa, take it down! Take it easy there!
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But Your Excellency!
Excuse me? I just burped a little bit, I'm sorry. This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency! It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
That's true! I pestered Professor Migatoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail.
Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Sasaki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance.
I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look at my old enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that! To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Yes. Metamemo-san, one small question if you don't mind.
I do mind! Can't you see I'm busy?
Clearly you were inside the beach hut. Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else.
Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, he's sweating.
Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word! Ah!
Well, Metamemo-san?
As a journo and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of minimism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard out from outside the hut.
The details of the poison article.
So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinging story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink! Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. Want it to go on the record.
I didn't catch the "and I." Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. I just realized that something was either added or changed in the court record.
The point is, if he poisoned someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well.
Hold it!
Maybe to cover up the poisoning? Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die.
That's horse dung!
What?
That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it. Completely reckless.
I'm sorry. I don't think that completely registered in my mind. 1 second.
Like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it.
I've never had poison. Well, yes, I've never had poison. That is true. Unless you count soda as a poison, which a lot of people do. I've never had ramen, so I can't speak to that.
Although it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer, as it happens. Once the verdict had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that.
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry. What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishman.
Ah, yes, that's it.
I'm sorry.
That's when Metamemo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. That could be the key here.
If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, the logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything will drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. I will admit, I'm at a bit of a loss here. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. A cover-up, maybe? Something tells me that this is the one. So, I'm not entirely sure about this. I will fully admit I am not entirely sure about this. But I am going to present the article here. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did! There could be no question of that! After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin!
And there is one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison in Miss Brett's drink.
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Minamamo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. Excuse me. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Bright about the poison. At which point, Minamamo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in this newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison. which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Oh! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Nambami-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale signs. Telltale signs. I keep mispronouncing that. In other words, someone like you, Reiten Menamemo. Gag! It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned these facts. 1 second. I'm back. As you listen in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Attention!
But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order! 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 The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes! I counter completely!
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope?!
Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is...
I don't need a counter-argument! That was just my own voice, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Here and here.
Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts.
Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
We're just going to ignore that we don't need any evidence to suggest that Ray poisoned her. We don't need any evidence for that, but we need evidence to prove that this guy did it. Just pointing that out. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word.
But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed from the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
How's that then? Blown the story wide open! See, I, Ray Memo, a mere reporter from the Show You News, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory.
You hid it in your pen.
But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. If that's the case,
as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we have. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin?
My point is this. There's one way that you, Menamemo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question?
Take that!
I'm back. So, what's the backwards-ass logic for this? What is the ass-backwards logic for this? What is the logic for denying this? What is the logic? What is the logic that says that's not correct? You mother... fuck is this then? What is it? If it is not another container that could have held the poison, what the fuck is it?
I am so fucking angry.
This is... Do they want me to present the reagent first? Is that it?
Court record, fuck off! I'm saving this time because apparently it could be fucking anything! How much you want to bet it's the fucking reagent?
Take that!
Oh my god. Alright, you know what? Fuck this. I'm brute forcing it. I'm brute forcing it because why the fuck not?
Take that!
Because it's not the pen, it's not the reagent. That's the only logical thing I can think of, and I'm willing to bet it's still that.
Take that! Take that!
I want to see what logic they use. I want to see what their line of logic is. I really want to see what their line of logic is.
Take that!
I desperately want to see what their line of logic is.
Take that! Take that! Take that!
I have presented everything! I have brute forced it and it has not worked! It's the pen! It's the fucking pen! I know it's the fucking pen! I've presented every other piece of evidence here! And I can't back out of this! This is it!
Take that! Take that!
I am so mad. I am so mad right now. Because I have presented every piece of evidence. I have presented every piece of evidence. Every single piece of evidence.
Take that!
Is the game just busted? Is it broken? Are none of these correct as an error in the programming? Because I have presented all of these. And there's nothing. Don't fucking tell me. Don't you dare fucking tell me. Don't you dare fucking tell me. Oh my god, I can't speed through this. Don't you dare fucking tell me. I had to examine the pen first to show that it was empty. I couldn't just be like, here's a container in which he could have stolen from it, and it's not like they would have broken open the pen to see if the poison was in there. No, I have to prove it's empty first. God, this is fucking stupid. This is abundantly stupid. This is abundantly stupid.
Take that!
Now it'll fucking take it. I had to prove the pen was empty first. God, what the... I'm sorry, I'm acting like a petulant child because of this fucking temper tantrum I'm throwing. And I agree, this is very immature of me. But can we not at the very least agree that this shit is fucking stupid?
Objection!
Again, that is my logic from the start! Why did I need to prove the pen was empty first? Why? I don't understand why I needed to do that. Why did I need to do that? Why was that at all necessary? Why was that necessary? Again, I'm acting like a child again, I'm sorry.
And we wouldn't even that wouldn't even be necessary. We present the pen, then they're like, well, you can't prove that there was poison in the pen, and then we use this. Done. We don't need to go with this, oh, it needs to be empty, it needs to be empty. Again, I'm sorry, I'm very, very salty about this. I am very salty about this. I should just get over it and move on.
Objection!
Wrong button.
I'm saving, even though I know it's the reagent, because the way this game is set up, for all I know, I could have to examine an exact fucking pixel of the reagent before realizing, oh, I can use this to detect poison. Which should go without saying.
Take that!
That was my chair. I've been very quiet because I'm still salty. I apologize. For not speaking, for freaking out. I apologize for just being... I have no better way to put it. I apologize for being a brat. Ah, yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just moozing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo Ryunosuke-san. I'm sorry, Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Ouchi, do you have any final thoughts? Prosecutor Ouchi? I, Takatsuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path of Ouchiism! I think he's just gonna cut off his hair. One hopes that that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my top nut, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuchi. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like screaming. I'm sorry. I'm still too salty to comment on this. Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. It was very stupid. Now, there have been times, I'm pretty sure I did this on stream. Well, either on stream. Yeah, it was probably on stream. I can't recall anything specific. But I'm pretty sure there were moments on screen where I raged like this, and it turned out my logic was completely flawed. And you know what? I own up to that. And I shouldn't have thrown a temper tantrum the way I did this stream, but I still say this much. My logic was 100% correct. It was the game saying, no, you have to do it this very specific way. That is what made me lose my cool. Although I shouldn't have handled it so immaturely. I apologize once again for that. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Rei, father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I don't know why I'm still doing that. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the greatest defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh my goodness, no, of course not! Of course not! Ah, there it is at last. His lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, we'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame. I don't know who that is, and I'm not screaming. What is happening? Ah, Soseki-san, Inspector Hasanaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. Susato Mikotoba. I don't... So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing! Yes, and devilishly divine! Just look at you! I had no idea, Mr. Susato-san Esquire's, that you were Locum Student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin! Astounding! Ace! Attorney! Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned! That's a truly impressive disguise! Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau! Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less? Oh, Jesus. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hasanaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder of that the English woman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch nemesis! How lightly you utter his name! Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? I thought he was sick, and I thought he was sick, and then just got better. It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said you'd collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Hear me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear. I simply can't... weren't you taken into custody? So one throw wasn't enough for you? I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor! Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate! Visiting student? Jeziel Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago! What? Student of law? He must mean... Kazuma-sama! What are you talking about? What does this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows about it! They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... Well, I didn't expect to find him here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene, and it's a good job. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. Ha 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 ha! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Sashiro Jigoku. And may I say, I saw you last. You seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susato. Did he know? Did you know all along? From the start of the trial? Ha 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 ha! A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Sashiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognize you, so I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Sashiro, shall we? Yes. Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear. I'm very sorry. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh,
Thank you very much.
What did you think of my Sashiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha!
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Jeziel Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba Esquires? Could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Sasaki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please! Please, Sasaki-san. Please tell me at once. I will! I will! I will! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness Silcom student Naruhodo Esquire stepped in. As he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on his ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father?
Oh! So, we're keeping it a secret from the Japanese government, I assume, that Kazuma's dead. And that Ryunosuke took his place.
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Two? That's the thing, two.
Of course, I can never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us talk about?
The Hound of Baskervilles?
Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care! I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says!
Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
To be continued?
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
end! I assume that's the end of the case. The case itself was not bad. I just wish it wasn't so strict on how you do this. Like, for example, again, I like... Just please let me have this. Why was it that I had to pick that one very specific image with the hole in the back of the hut, when the picture showing the camera sticking through that hole would have worked just as well if you really think about it? Actually, no, not even if you really think about it. It probably would have done the job better. And second, why did I need to examine the pen and find out that it was empty before just saying this is what was used to hide the poison? This was what was used to get the poison out of the university. Why did I need to examine it first and figure out it was empty at the moment before figuring that out? I've raged at Ace Attorney games in the past, but for the most part, when I rage at it, it's because I feel my logic is on point, and then it turns out, oh, my logic is flawed, and this is actually what was going on. But here it was just, nope, you're not doing it the way we want you to do it. Your logic is correct, but you're not presenting it the correct way. And even then, the correct way is just stupid. You're not presenting it the exact way we want you to present it. But I'm going to continue playing this game anyway. I'll have likely calmed down and probably even forgotten about all that stupid shit next week. But yeah, I'll be playing this again next week, 7 p.m., assuming everything goes well with what I do before these streams. But between now and then, I'll be playing Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition, where we'll be finishing up with the war between the Quarians and the Geth. And that'll be happening Saturday.